Hey, HappiDaze here. In today's video, we are doing our PvP day number 3 with Kuma as our GP leader for this event. So let's see how he does. We are switching our teams a little bit. As you can see on here, I did switch up one of the teams that we had on here, the side team, to be a strength team, just because the rule set for Kuma just gives him a little bit more stats. So we kind of switched that up a little bit. Again, the leader isn't really that great in terms of what he can do. Obviously, he gives strength, int, and side characters some buff up. If you're free spirit or cerebral, you get some additional buffs as well as some CT speed. And then if you are free spirit or cerebral, I believe he also does a revive as well. So not too bad. Just gets stat boost really, but it's nothing like what you see with Bonnie Luffy, with Int Luffy, with Kuzan, with Kaido, any of those leaders who are kind of in the meta. So that's kind of what we're doing here. Now he does get his burst gauge charged by taking damage. In most cases it's 30,000 damage, so that's actually not a ton of damage to take. Should be pretty easy to get that if you're facing teams that do a lot of high damage output or hit multiple targets, which all of the units do now. So that's how you trigger his special, and when you do get his special, you basically get to evade force out, which isn't really that great. There's not like a ton of enemies that will give you force out to strength, int, psi, free spirit, and cerebral characters, I believe it is. So it's kind of a little bit of a downside there, unfortunately. And then you also give some healing to your team, as well as fixed damage of 6k. So some utility there. So you'll see in some of the other fights, what really helps here is like if you take a burst from Kaido, for example, at the beginning of a fight, you can just use his special right away and start healing from there. But the downside to that is because his special also does the fixed damage, it will just instantly recharge Kaido's gauge again. So that's kind of where you just gotta watch out here. But in this case, against these fights, we don't have to really worry about that. We're facing Kizaru. He gets his special gauge charged by doing damage, so we don't really have to worry about that too much. So that first fight, we kind of breezed through with our with kind of the best team in the game, I think, right now for PvP. And this is kind of the second best team, right? And we knew team number 2 on their side of shooters. This is a total shooter debuffing team, so no real worries there. Pika will give us nice guard, so we don't have to really deal with too much damage there. S-Snake does a lot of confusion, some special rewind, and then when Boa and Luffy go, it's just GG's at that point for the shooter team. Very similar to the strength team, they just don't have a lot of defense on their side, so if you can kind of get a good special off, it's really easy to go ahead and kill them. So you can see Pika's gonna just have his chance to go here, give us a little bit of a shield. Unfortunately, he was a little bit far from everyone, so he only gave a shield to the Boa, Luffy, and himself, so that was kind of a disappointment. But you can see, once Luffy went, like, he wiped out that whole front line himself. Like, it just was almost fair. And now Boa's going to go and do the same exact thing to get us the second win of the day, get us to a grand total of 7 wins. Love to see that. So far for this fight, he wasn't too bad. But we're going to switch up some of the captains that we face. I don't think he's good enough to kind of fight a Luffy Bonnie captain, so a lot of these other fights are not going to be that burst captain versus. But let's get into fight number 2 for the day and see how we did. All right, so for fight number 2 of the day, using this Kuma captain, we're going to go ahead and take on this in Luffy. As I said, I don't think that this team is really going to be that good taking on the Luffy and Bonnie captain. They just do so much with their special that I don't think it's just going to be possible to do that. So for that reason, we're fighting the into Luffy as the burst captain here. He only gets 2 charges, so that makes it really easy for us. In essence, we win the first game, we can bait him into using both charges on the second game and go into the final match with as many specials as we have ready to go. So I did switch up the teams a little bit, so I did throw this team up front. One, because obviously with the advantage of the Luffy and Boa being quick, they'll just do a ton of damage against the strength team. Again, Pika can give us defense, so if we do have to take a shot from either Jack or Luffy, we should be pretty good. But you can see how quick S-Snake goes. She does the confusion, makes sure that Jack can't do his HP cut, and then Boa just comes in and just absolutely decimates. Love to see that. It works out really well, and at this point now we're just waiting for Luffy to go. Luffy would take out the next 3, and it will make it really easy for us to go ahead and secure that first victory for the first fight of this match. So unfortunately, so far, we still haven't got enough damage in either of our battles to trigger Kuma's special. But in this case, we're going to try to do that. So most likely, we'll let this go for just a little bit. We are going to skip just because, at this point, we're just trying to let them use their burst. And you can see, we knew we were going to lose, but I basically wanted to just take away their burst, give us a chance to get our burst charged so we could actually use it. and then go from there. Now, the strength team doesn't have a lot of defense, as I was mentioning earlier, so the issue that you can have is that, yeah, if I would have healed them up, that would have been fine, but it probably would have been still easy for them to kill. So, going into this final match, I knew that we have our best team out here. There's no chance that they could beat us even if we didn't have our bursts. They don't have any bursts left. We can use Kuma to go ahead and, in essence, just do a little bit of fixed damage, right? Granted, we have a lot of free spirits and cerebrals on this team, so that obviously definitely helps. But kind of the game plan here is kind of to kick it off, you know, either before Kuma or right after Kuma, so that way when Kuma goes, when Luffy goes, and then when this goes, it just makes it really easy to just kill everyone on the front line real quick and just easily wipe out the backbench with whatever's who's left. So Nika and Bonnie come in, absolutely destroy everyone, like not even a chance for them to come back. At this point, I can just skip because I know it's going to be an easy victory for match number 2 of the day. So again, Kuma's not bad so far. He's performed really well against Kizaru first, and then of course now the Int Luffy. So let's see if we can wrap up the day with one other different Grand Party leader that we'll face against and see what we really think about him and if he's really going to be meta going forward. All right, so for the final match of the last day, let's go ahead and take on, let's do a Kaido captain. We haven't done Kaido with the Kuma. As I mentioned, the benefit of the special of the Kuma here is we get the healing that we can use from the GP burst, which will help us if we have to take one of Kaido's specials. But again, the downside of that also is that if we happen to use it, it'll pretty much almost auto-trigger Kaido's special to go again. So that's kind of the downside there. So similar to what we did for previous matches, for the first match here, we are using our the team that you see here, which is primarily went to take down shooters, but actually worked really well against pretty much almost every team out there, except maybe the Dex team with Caesar on their bench. But typically, this team does really good against pretty much every other team in the game. So we're gonna go ahead and use this to take out the Strength team here. Again, once Boa goes, she just can help wipe everyone out. Does a bunch of special bind there, which is great. Love to see that. And now we just pretty much wait for Luffy to go, and at that point, it's game over. Now, because we are facing Kaido, and he transfers his burst gauge by taking damage, we're going to trigger this, unfortunately, a bunch of times. So kind of the game plan here is really to get him to use one of his bursts on the first fight, which is why I'm not just skipping it right away. If I skip it, there's almost no chance the computer will use their burst gauge here. But for some reason, there's some kind of logic, it seems like, where if you kind of keep units out there and keep prolonging the fight, at least for the first fight, it will trigger the AI to use their special. And that's kind of what I was hoping for here. If they didn't, then that was fine. It kind of is what it is, whatever. But sometimes, like, if the match is just going on for a long time and the AI has a special ready to go, they'll just launch it for whatever reason. So you can see here, like, there was no reason for the AI to launch that at all. Like, it just didn't benefit them at all. But hey, we'll take that because it takes one charge gauge away. It leaves them with only 2. Which means that we can kind of use the team on the second fight to tank a lot of these hits. Now, unfortunately for me, this team here isn't like a super bulky team. Ideally, I would have rather had a team that just had so much more HP and defense, so that way we're kind of guaranteed to use the 2 bursts. I think we could still kind of get through it. So what you see here is I'm just probably going to skip this one a little bit, just to kind of get through the rest of the fight. Again, we have the type advantage here, of course, with the strength versus the dex. That's kind of the advantage there. So really, if we can get Luffy to go or Kuma to go, we should do a good chunk of damage. Now, they have the Kizaru on their side, and of course, Jupiter, who just does a lot of defense to the team, so that's kind of what we have to watch out for. And on our side, I probably could have swapped this out and really had the strength buggy on here. He would have debuffed the Dex team even more, but I just didn't have that. So you're going to see what I'm going to do here is basically heal up. My guys are at about 50% HP, so I just want to kind of get them a little bit back. But the downside there is, of course, like I said, you're going to pretty much almost instantly trigger Kaido's special, and that means you're going to have to take a shot here. So you can see I'm going to take another Kaido burst right there. Now, unfortunately for us, because a lot of these characters weren't Free Spirit or Cerebral, they didn't get the Evade Force Out protection that comes as part of the Kuma kit. But hey, we were still able to get 9 out of 9 wins, wrap up day number 3 perfect. That's great. One more win to get the max rewards. So after recording this video, I actually ended up doing some polls on the Sussy banner. I did end up getting her in 10 multis. So originally I was going to do back to Luffy and Bonnie for kind of the last 2 days, but I think what I'll do tomorrow for their matches is use the Saturn as the burst leader, just because there's a cool team that I saw Stump put out that I really want to try using Stussy and the new Saturn and Lucci and just see how that all kind of flows together. So that'll be our leader for tomorrow. It'll be Saturn, so stay tuned. Look out for those matches. You'll get to see how that is. And yeah, in the meantime, just let me know in the comments below, well, how are you feeling with the season? Do you like the rule sets? You know, are you going to be able to get 10 out of 10? Personally, I love this rule set change whenever they do this a couple times a year, so definitely a big fan of this. I think anyone get the max rewards is always great. After today's matches, make sure you go in and set your captain to a non-burst captain, especially after you get that 10th win, just to give everyone a chance to make sure they can get the max amount of wins of 10, even if they don't have like kind of a stacked account there. So help everyone out. Community strategy that we kind of preach on every one of these videos. So just help out the community. So thank you guys so much for watching, as always. Until next time, be kind to each other. Thanks.